You never truly know who is on the other side of the monitor. This story goes way back, and thankfully never escalated into anything more than what it was, a period of time that instilled the fear of God in me, but also taught me a valuable lesson about internet security and the cautionary tale generated from my young naivete. False security and teenage invincibility. We've all been there at one point or another. When you're young, you don't think about the potential dangers entailing from using the internet with reckless abandon. I knew there were predators out there, but I never applied much thought in regard to it. Besides the standard precautions, I never gave out my last name or my location to anyone else. I knew that much at least. I used to frequent an online message board. It was a tight-knit community. Everyone knew each other on a personal level, and we were good friends. I had plenty of good friends in my immediate life, but I made many friendships through the sites. They are great people, and to this day, I am still in contact with some of them. I even met one of them while on vacation last summer, which was nothing short of a wonderful experience. But there was one user who was different. Being a very friendship-oriented community, everyone was very welcoming of him the moment he joined, but anyone could see that there was always something about him that was off. He was just odd. But at the same time, he came off as a sweet and naive character. Wouldn't hurt a fly, we thought. I felt sorry for him. He lacked of social grace and people skills, had me inclined to believe he didn't have many friends in his life. I foolishly made the mistake of befriending him, or at least showing him friendliness. It was a short-sighted decision, and one that would result in a long and traumatizing ordeal for me. He became obsessed with me. There is no other way to describe it. I shrugged it off as some weird online crush that would pass, but it never did. If anything, his obsession with me grew stronger every day. It started off small and innocent enough. He always praised me and agreed with anything I said. Even if my view was dramatically different from his, he would continually single me out and shower me with praise, but always in a seemingly respectful manner. We all thought he was awkward and harmless. Then, his antics became more fervent. He would hound me multiple times a day to Skype with him. I repeatedly declined until one day I agreed, if only to verify that he was indeed who he said he was. And at this point, almost everyone's identity was verified via Skype calls. He wasn't necessarily rude or offensive in the beginning, just very awkward and eccentric. I kept the session brief because he made me uncomfortable, but I didn't think too much of it at the time either. He seemed harmless, a bit strange. I felt sorry for him honestly and didn't want him to be outcasted. Nobody ever suspected there to be any element of malevolence in his behavior. But then the qualities I initially dismissed as quirks gradually became something more sinister. He began revealing things about himself to me that he surely knew made me uncomfortable. About how his father would beat his mother, about how he used to torture animals as a child. All of it was purposeful, even if he played it off as being clueless and too socially inept to fully understand the inappropriateness of his behavior at the time. I stopped talking with him after that, but still didn't completely shut him off. My view of him was that he was socially awkward, but had no nefarious intent. Nobody suspected anything. He seemed so naive and innocent. Around the time, I started getting creepy. Mostly perverted anonymous messages and trolls started flooding the board, personally singling me out. Creepy as it was, I took it all with a grain of salt. This wasn't the first time the board was overrun with trolls. We had a troll problem for a long time now, and this didn't seem any different. I did not make the connection between any of it and him. One day, he asked to join a Skype call between my friend and I. We hesitantly obliged, not wanting to hurt his feelings. To our disgust, he started pleasuring himself in the call. I cut all ties with him after that, and he apologized profusely before disappearing. I thought that was the end of it, but it was just the beginning. After his vanishing act, the creepy messages became more violent and threatening. I was receiving at least 100 a day from multiple anonymous guises. It didn't take a genius to figure out who was doing this. Before I knew it, I was being impersonated on multiple accounts throughout social media sites. My inbox became flooded with hundreds of messages threatening to kill, rape, mutilate me in the most barbaric of ways every week. Anonymous accounts would send me collages of pictures of me from sources I never shared with anyone, and of which I had no idea how the person gained access to them, had I never given out any of my personal social media. In some of these pictures, my eyes would be cut out, or the image would be perversely decorated. The board became flooded with multiple anonymous accounts all posting, threatening messages about me. The person even made a website dedicated to his plan to rape and kill me and link me to it, but it was taken down not long afterwards. I started saving everything this nutcase sent me so I could compile evidence and requested for performance of an extensive IP check. One of the SOC accounts that was checked matched up with 200 other accounts, including, you guessed it, his original account. I always knew it was him, but to have it confirmed with that psychopath created 200 accounts to use to stalk and terrorize me was finally enough to truly unsettle me. Up until a whole year of this online stalking antics, I wasn't too bothered. Yes, I was creeped out, but I wasn't fearing for my life or anything like that until the calls started coming. And to this day, I have no idea how the fuck he got my home phone number. I never told him my last name or anything that would have led him to my personal information. My guess is that he must have acquired it from my last name, and he would have gotten it from my Facebook, as I never told anyone what my surname was. How he found my Facebook, though, I honestly don't know. The moment he got my number, he would call my house at all hours of the day and nighttime. I never answered it. My dad did all the time, though. It didn't matter how many times Dad would hang up, within 5 seconds, the creep would be calling back, and this would be in a cycle at every hour of the day. It got to the point where none of us were sleeping, because he was calling non-stop every hour, until the wee hours of the morning. At this point, I was beside myself with fear. I expected any day that he would show up at my door if he had my phone number of my home. He certainly had my address, too. I became so paranoid that I put tape over all my webcams in case he had somehow managed to hack them. No matter what, I couldn't shake the feeling that he could somehow see me, that he was always watching me even though I knew he was safely across the continent from me. I spent many sleepless nights fearing he'd show up any second and try to kill me. We contacted our phone service provider, asking for them to trace the call. The number itself was untraceable, but they were eventually able to pinpoint the address of the caller. Sure enough, it was coming from the state of which I knew he lived, because he had once told me. I knew without a shadow of a doubt it was him doing all of this, but what could I really do about it? The cops wouldn't care about some threatening phone calls and messages from a creep miles and miles away. It went on for 2 years. I clued my family in as to what was happening immediately once the phone call started, but there was not much else anyone could do besides block the multiple numbers he'd call from and eventually just unplug the phone altogether to get a decent night of sleep. Needless to say, I eventually reached the end of my road. My cyberstalker, as psychopathic as he was and is, was not the brightest crayon in the box. Before he began his reign of terror on me, he had revealed all sorts of information about himself, even posted them online. I knew what state he lived in, his parents' names, his full name, etc. Called the typical hubris characteristic of a not-so-smart psychopath. He made it all too easy for me to turn the tables on him. I went from avoiding and ignoring him to actively stalking him back. Doing some digging and creeping on my own, I was able to acquire personal details of his. It honestly wasn't very hard finding his parents' phone number. I had a last name, and he had once told me their first names, Bingo. He was a 20-something-year-old that I knew lived with them. I thought at the very least, it was about time his family found out what he had been up to. A call was made to them revealing everything, and I do mean everything. I don't know for sure if they ever got the message. It was left as a voicemail since nobody answered, but I assumed that the phone call had its intended effect because it's been years, and I haven't heard a peep from him since. I hope he got the help he needed, but I frankly don't care about what became of him, so long as he doesn't torment anyone else. In hindsight, it's pretty funny that ratting him out to his parents was enough to stop him, but not all too surprising. For a 20-something-year-old, he was incredibly childish. So, psychopathic cyberstalker, let's not meet ever for your sake, because I am not afraid of you anymore. Retail horror story. Now, we need input from technology-savvy people. Thank you. So, this happened tonight at work, and everyone is pretty shaken up over it, as I think some next-level horror movie shit happened this evening. Some background information. I'm in nursing school and work part-time on the weekends at a retail store, home decor, furniture, and whatnot. We have about 20 employees, only 3 of them are men. Most customers don't realize we have 3 men that work at the store. We constantly hear, "Y'all need to hire some men to help move that furniture around." Tonight, me, female, another associate, female, a manager, female, and our stockroom maintenance guy, who doesn't leave the stockroom, were working the closing shift. We were scheduled to close at 9 p.m., but shut the store down just before 8 because of this incident. The other associates and I are in the register area, straightening things up before close, and shooting the shit because there are no customers inside the store. The last customers that came had left about 45 minutes prior to this time. The phone rings. My coworker answers the phone, puts the phone on hold, and calls up for the manager. The caller wants to speak to a manager. Our manager comes up, answers the phone, and gets a weird look on her face. My boss is a badass of a woman who doesn't get shaken up easily. I watched a customer get 2 inches from her face, call her a fucking cunt, and watched her throw her head back and laugh before telling the customer to get the fuck out. So seeing her with a strange look, my coworker and I stop and listen. She puts the caller on hold, points to me, and says, "Come to the office with me," in a quick, nervous tone. As we're walking to the office, she tells me the caller is a man, says he's from corporate. There's been an incident. Told her to go into the manager's office to talk on the phone, but she's feeling something isn't right, and she wants someone to listen to the call like a witness. Now, our manager's office is inside of our stockroom. Our stockroom is entirely concrete and stacked with merchandise. There are no windows in the stockroom or manager's office. My coworker is on the sales floor continuing to work. Our stock guy is in the stockroom, putting furniture together outside the office door, and my boss and I are in the office with the door open. She takes the guy off hold and puts the phone on speaker. This is how the conversation went. "Hello, I'm from corporate. There's been an incident at another store with an irate customer. I need you to speak to him, but don't make him mad." The call is quiet for a few seconds. Then what sounds like the same man, from corporate, comes back on, obviously pretending to be someone else. "What's your name?" My boss says her first name. "What's your last name?" She gives the first letter of her last name. "How old are you?" My boss says, "Who is this? I'd like to speak to the man from corporate." "Do you know what I do to people who make me fucking mad?" My boss and I stare at each other. She quietly stands up from her chair. The minute she stands up, mind you, she stood quietly and slowly. The caller says, "Why are you standing up?" My boss quietly picks up a permanent marker and throws it through the doorway at our stock guy to try to get his attention. The second she throws the marker, the caller says, "Why are you trying to get his attention?" The stockroom has no windows. The only way the caller could have seen my boss stand up and throw the marker was if he was inside the stockroom or watching the stockroom office security cameras. My boss slammed the phone down. We must have had some sort of unspoken, immediate understanding because we both bolted out of the office, out of the stockroom, and onto the sales floor. We ripped the front doors shut, locked them, yelled at the other associates to get in the office now. We slid a couch in front of the doors and bolted back to the office. Me, my boss, the other associates, and our stock guy ran into the office, slammed the door, and locked it. I grabbed the phone and called 911. My boss, who has a license to carry, pulls a fucking 9mm handgun out of her purse and stands next to the office door while I'm talking to the dispatcher. The police are there beating on the front doors in about 5 minutes. We can see this on the security camera TV feed in the office. So my boss grabs her ID and gun license out of her wallet, opens the door, we shut it, and lock it behind her, watch her on the security cameras, walking through the store and lets the police in. 3 cops search the entire store, bathrooms, register, walls, break room, office, and stockroom. They even climb up onto the merchandise shelves and go up to the ceiling and search. They have 2 patrol cars drive through the shopping plaza, front and back. They even check our dumpsters. They don't find anyone suspicious, inside or out. We call corporate and relay the story on speaker with the police. No one from corporate called us. There was no incident at another store. They insist that it was a prank call until they hear the "Why are you standing? Why are you trying to get his attention" part. The police and us at the store insist that someone has hacked the security cameras. We have Wi-Fi that is password protected. We don't know the password. Maybe they use that. We don't know. But the only way the caller could have seen my boss stand up from the chair and toss a fucking marker at our stock guy is if they were in the stockroom or watching the security camera live feed. They insist that's impossible. So tech people, what's your 2 cents in this security camera business? All others, what's your input? Caller? Let's not meet. Internet girlfriend. This is my first time posting here, but I've been following this subreddit for a while now. The year is 2003. I'm a 15-year-old boy and living in a small city. This is a place where everyone seems to know everyone. I am typically shy and often used the internet as a way to meet people. During this time, the instant messenger ICQ was still pretty popular amongst the teens in my area. I would often stay up late adding new people and chatting them up. I would do this by searching by city and adding people I knew from school. This is how I met her. Her name was Sarah. We began chatting innocently enough. The normal, hey, what's up sort of deal. Now, Sarah was self-described 17-year-old girl. Short, brown hair, nerdy. We hit it off pretty fast. We had so much in common, and I found it easy to open up to her. Although, I thought it was strange that I'd never seen her in school before. I go to the Christian school, explaining why I'd never seen her. We continue chatting for some time, and I eventually give her my home phone number. We chat regularly over the phone, until she eventually asks, would you like to hang out sometime? Without hesitation, we make plans for me to go over to her house, hang out and watch movies. The day finally comes for us to hang out. I make my way across town to the address she gave me. It's a small apartment building. Slightly confused on how she and the rest of her family would fit in such a small apartment, I make my way up the stairs. I knock and I am immediately greeted at the door by a woman, maybe in her late 20s or early 30s. I knew this was Sarah, but she didn't look like anything she described. I was instantly weirded out, but followed her into the small one-bedroom apartment. I stupidly asked, so are your parents home? She laughed. No, it's just me here. I'm now sitting awkwardly on the couch. Do you drink? She's looking at me across the room. Water. I joke. We both share an awkward laugh as she pours me a glass of wine. I never take a sip of it. She sits close to me after popping in a bootleg copy of Finding Nemo. My brother got me for this while I was still in theaters. He's like a hacker or something. She giggles. At this point, she is very close to me. I am uncomfortable, and being the weirdo I am, I shift to the floor. I am now sitting on the floor with my back up against the couch. She then straddles me from behind. You look so tense. She begins rubbing my back. I'm really good at this. I can make you feel so good. I lean forward. Thanks, but you don't need to do that. I'm fine. I explain that I should be going. She points to her bedroom. You can stay the night. I've never had a guy stay in my bed. She keeps making sexual advances, telling me how she hadn't had sex in so long, and she wants to meet a nice guy like me. All the while, she keeps touching my arm and face. Now at this point, I was still a virgin, but this lady was not going to be the one to change that. I talk my way out of the situation and head home. The next few days, I get several messages telling me she misses me and that she's sorry. Eventually, I cave and responded to one of her messages. I asked her why she lied and what her deal is. She tells me she has a hard time meeting friends and that she doesn't like people her own age. I feel bad, forgive her, and we make plans to talk in person. Here I am at my last encounter with Sarah. I ride my bike to her apartment. Once inside, I am greeted not only by her but her parents too. They introduce themselves. Finally, we get to meet Sarah's boyfriend. Her dad jokes, "We've heard so much about you. She's always going on about how great you are." Her mom follows up. In my head, I'm freaking out. I'm not this girl's boyfriend. Sarah grabs my hand and laces our fingers. She looks so happy. Her parents are just stopping over to pick up something, and were actually on their way out the door when I showed up. If I was going to get going, here would be my chance. I grabbed the box her mom was about to pick up. I'll take that down for ya. Her mom smiles. You're a keeper. I help her parents load the box in their SUV and hop on my bike. I was just swinging by to say hi. I should probably get home. Sarah wraps her arms around me and kisses my cheek. I ride home confused and plan on never talking to that girl again. She dropped me a few messages I never responded to. She called the landline a few times, but we never spoke. I don't know whatever happened to her. I don't know why her parents didn't question my age, or if they were just okay with it. Stalked via hacking. June. My partner Johnny comes upstairs and finds it cute I'm checking him out on OKC. I'm confused as I haven't logged in lately, like in months. How could I have been looking at his account? I log in and check it out. There's a list of 7 or so people that have been checked out from my account today. Johnny's included, and also someone I work with. Well, that's embarrassing. Nope, wasn't me. Time to change my password. The next day at work, I was sure to bring it up and laugh about the fact that my OKC account was hacked to the person who was in my viewed list. I didn't want this person thinking I actually looked at his account. We work too closely together, and I already get the impression he may see me as more than just his boss. It always pleased him that his luggage tags printed his middle name and first initials as Chris T. This is not the type of person who should see his name written out like he's God's gift to Earth. I refer to him as Chris. Chris just laughed it off. The OKC hacking comment I made, I found it strange he had no questions or comments on the subject. Most people would at least ask if you change your, password, but nothing from Chris. I brushed out the situation. A few days later, I was out of the office for work. Johnny messages me, saying it happened again, that I checked him out on OKC. No, I didn't, but I changed my password again. July, it's a weekend. I'm having a lazy morning in bed with Johnny. I get a Facebook notification. Your account has been logged into from a new location. The IP address points to Chris's hometown. My heart's racing. What the fuck is going on? I take care of the Facebook password and screenshot the notification. Later that night, I get a text from Chris. Happy 4th, boss. LOL. I assume he's drunk and worried about being caught having his access to my Facebook revoked so quickly. Nope, it can't be him doing this. It's just a coincidence, right? Johnny's convinced it's Chris, but that means someone I work with on a very small team is targeting me. This will make work nearly impossible. I can't talk to anyone at work about this. I have no way to run my department. The situation will get minimized. Chris drank a lot. I'd seen it at work events or when he's traveled, just the two of us. He'd often got out of hand, but everyone brushed it off. He's young. It was funny. We've all had those nights. As long as you show up to work the next day, it's fine. I brought it up to him once. Hey Chris, you need to be more cautious about how much you drink at the work events. He didn't speak to me for like 3 days. I offended him. Told him he's not allowed to have fun at work events. He told me when he finally snapped at me. I recoiled. He's 3 times my size, and we were in a secluded space at work. One time while traveling with just the two of us, I got very sick. I told him I couldn't make out for dinner, so Chris offered to pick up something from a nearby store. He knocked on my room door and handed me the water he got me. He tried to make small talk as I thanked him and indicated I was going to lay down. It was apparent by his stance in my hotel room doorway. He wanted to come in. He moved an inch closer and I said goodnight, shut my door and locked every lock I could. It wasn't the only time he made me feel uncomfortable. I hadn't noticed any other accounts being hacked for a while. I was cautious around Chris, even disassociated when I could. I avoided work outings if he was going, would back out of lunch plans that he decided to go to once he knew I was going, but we often had to work very closely. We were a team after all. I couldn't do my job without him, and him without me. November. Johnny was online checking out his FetLife account one evening. He saw I was also online via the old messenger they used to have. Johnny asked me if I'm logged in. I'm not. Again, my heart's racing. It's different this time, though. The violations are beginning to feel commonplace, normal, expected. But this hacking is extreme. No one outside of my FetLife friends know about this account. Definitely no one I work with. And there are some faceless nude photos of me there, too. I reached out to FetLife. They gave me the IP address of the last login. It's the same as the Facebook hack. Shit. I can't avoid this anymore. I can't pretend it's just coincidences anymore. But I need proof it's Chris. All I have is an IP address and intuition. I can't take that to HR, the police, maybe? Will they help? Or will it make matters worse if they need to contact my employer? I start looking into the login history of any account that tracks it. My bank account? Why is there an iPhone logging into it daily? I don't have an iPhone, but Chris does. Shit, this is real. This is happening. I don't know what to do. I'll call the bank while at work and ask them about the unknown login. Chris is at his desk, right next to mine. The conversation is easily overheard. I hang up with the bank. They can't help. Chris didn't say a thing. Under normal conditions, a coworker would inquire, wow, is everything okay? Did you change your password? Did any money go missing? Nothing from him though. So out of character. He's always interested in my personal life. The next weekend, I wake up to a phone call. The caller is calling from my phone number. My heart skips a beat, but I answer. No one responds. I just hear breathing. That's it. I've had it. I'm losing my sanity. I spent weeks, months, researching IP addresses, and how am I be able to use the only information I have to do something about it? I've lost sleep. I can't focus at work. Johnny is worried about me and my safety. I am too, but what can I do? Johnny suggests we go to the police. I don't want to, but I'm on a dead end. I agree. The officer is kinder and more receptive to my situation than I expected. This serves as a reminder to me that this is a big deal. I shouldn't minimize it in my own thoughts. She takes the report, every detail. They will use the IP to subpoena the ISP. Weeks go by. The officer on my case claims there is no crime. The ISP records were never obtained. December. My work email keeps doing this strange thing. Messages I've read keep being marked as unread. Weird. Is it him or is it just the multiple devices I use to check on it? I don't know, I can't tell. The server doesn't keep a good log in history, that I can see. Should I talk to IT? I know them well. They will help. But that would make the situation real and known as work. No, not yet. I can't bring myself to do it. I can't do this anymore. My heart is constantly racing. The slightest noise sends me into panic. I get a security camera for my front door and worry a bit less when I hear the door slam from the wind or when the dogs bark at something they hear. I'm becoming comfortable living in fear as much as it's impacting my health. At least I have the pepper spray Johnny got me. I carry it whenever I'm outside. Chris and I shared an account we use for work. Maybe I can get the IP address from that. If it matches, that's some proof, right? Dead ends. What if I send an IP tracker? I've learned you can place an invisible pixel in an email. It will send you the IP address of where it was read. All I have of Chris's is his work email and a Gmail. I test both. On myself first, of course. I can't take the risk of him figuring out I'm onto him. Damn it. Our work email blocks it, and Gmail reroutes to their HQ. Another dead end. More hours, days, weeks passed. I've called private investigators. They're impressed I tried the tactics they already have at their disposal. I feel confident that I'm doing all I can, but lost that the professionals can't help. February. One last attempt. It's a week before I have a 7-day out-of-country trip with Chris. It's a large group this time, but I'm still working very close, too close with him. I send Chris an email with a shortened link that will help track what IP it was clicked on from. I've tested this, it seems to work, but I'm shaking. What if this tips him off? What if he knows I'm onto him, and he attacks me at work? What do I send him to get him to click? I find a local event that this particular breed of neckbeard would be interested in. Hey Chris, saw this and thought you might be interested. 5 minutes later, Chris replies. Pure panic, no, excitement maybe. A mix of both sets in. I don't care what the reply says. I check the IP tracker. It got a hit. I'm shaking. I can barely type or hold my phone. It's the same IP address as the Facebook and FetLife hack. I got it. I have the proof I need. It's Chris who's been stalking me via my accounts. My intuition was right as much as I didn't want it to be confirmed as him. It is. There's relief. A weight's been removed. But then it sets back in. What do I do now? Go to HR? Back to the police? We've got that trip coming up. I need my team there to do the job. I'll wait till after I'm back. It's not that bad. I'm used to living like this now. Johnny thinks I'm insane for considering it. He's right. I am. I've lost touch with reality. This situation has me unable to determine what levels of uncomfortable one can and should live with. A night of debate, and I've made my decision. I won't wait. I'll do it now. I text my boss, Jay, the next day, asking him to meet me for lunch on Sunday. I need to talk to you away from the office. This is not a normal request. We're close at work, but this is bizarre to him. He tells me I'm scaring him. I wish I can tell him, don't worry. The following day, we meet for lunch. I'm so nervous I could vomit. This is it. This makes this all real now. I tell him everything. I'm worried he may minimize the situation. Chris is just a kid. He didn't mean anything. I'll talk to him tomorrow. After I finish speaking to Jay, he's at a loss of words. We have a plan in place to take this to HR tomorrow, and he's already helping me find someone to replace Chris on our work trip. Again, I'm relieved and nervous at the same time. Shit is going down tomorrow. 7 months of living in fear, and finally I can see an end. Monday, my pepper spray is in my pocket. I picked out of a work outfit that would conceal it today. Jay calls me, asks me a question. I don't remember what, but I take it as an invitation to go to his office. Anything to get away from the person I now know, without a doubt, has been hacking and stalking me. Jay wasn't expecting me, but understood. The department head is in his office. Jay is about to inform him of my situation. Having my story told by a third person was surreal, to say the least. I fill in all the details where it was needed and gave them the folder of evidence I collected to take to HR, screenshots, IP address, written accounts of the timeline up until this point, the emails from Chris confirming his involvement, and their information from the IP tracker. The day is a haze. I was at HR's office at least twice, saw the police drive through the campus, and had to fight my way with the HR director. He didn't feel I had enough evidence to prove the email I sent to Chris's Gmail was actually the Chris that worked here. I dug through my work email. Bam! He emailed my work email from his Gmail account once. Enough evidence for a non-believer. Hours go by. It's almost 3 p.m. What the fuck is going on? If I keep leaving my desk, Chris will know something's up. I can't call HR and ask. He'll hear the conversation. Chris walks over to me. Oh shit, he says. He's shoving his phone in my face, too close for comfort. He got an invite to go to HR for 4 p.m. I'm screaming inside. No one else is around. If he's going to do something to me, now would be the perfect time. That notice is the forewarning of being fired. That's how they do it at my job. I manage to look concerned and tell him, I'll let you know if I get one. Insinuating maybe our team is being let go. Not just you. He walks away, no idea where to. I sit at my desk, shaking in fear. I don't know when he will return. How could HR betray me like this? They know the situation. Damn it. They should have warned me they were about to send it. I could have fled. I could have gone somewhere else safe. Mike stops by my desk, just to say hi and offer me some leftover catering. I can't eat right now, but in this moment, Mike has offered me so much more than leftovers. He had no idea what's going on, but can see it in my face something is wrong. I asked to walk back to his office with him. Chris will never find me there. An hour or forever passes by. It's got to be done by now. I know Chris will be escorted back to gather his things. I don't want to be there for that. I sneak to Jay's office. He checks the area for me. Chris is gone. Jay heard from HR. As for HR, I'm not allowed to speak to anyone as to why Chris was fired. What the fuck, are they serious? This leaves me so vulnerable. If Chris decides to come back to work, no one would stop him. In fact, they would welcome him with open arms. And I'm left looking like the bitch that fired the nice, quiet kid that week. The IT department took a few extra days to gather Chris's devices. I had time to look through them during that period. The days before our trip was one of much discovery. Not just what I found on his computer, but what I learned from the people around me. The day after he was fired, I looked into his laptop. IT had no issues getting me into his files. I was Chris's boss, and I needed his work. His picture folder. A lot of personal stuff, stupid memes, vacation pictures, screenshots of naked cam girls he chatted with, and me. Some pictures I never seen before, some I had. The pictures I was familiar with were from a cruise I went on months earlier with Johnny. Only those were the ones I deleted. I had a GoPro set to take pictures every 10 seconds that hung from my wrist. While walking around, I inadvertently took close-ups of my ass in a swimsuit. Upon importing my vacation pictures, I deleted those from my computer. Were they still on the card? Then there were some pictures from my Google account. Well, it was a picture of a picture on a screen. He got into my Google account too? Why didn't I catch that one? Then, the ones I never seen. Pictures that have been taken around the office and on work trips. Me at my desk. Me bent over, setting up gear. A close-up of a hint of cleavage and shot from above. His phone was more of the same. A close-up of my ass while he sat behind me. Me struggling with an AV rack in a closet while in a dress. Video from under a table during a meeting while I'm wearing a skirt. Zoomed in upskirt photos. Pictures of dates I had written on a post-it. Pictures of my phone setting, showing my FetLife account. The nausea sets in again. I remember all these moments in the pictures he'd taken of me. Him nonchalantly on his phone, looking like he's slacking off or answering an email. Little did I know he was filling his spank bank with images of me during work hours and keeping a record of my days off. Fucking creep. I got to his browser history. It was sickening. He researched how to hack someone's text messages. He stalked friends of mine on Facebook, as well as my partner. He got into my Amazon, Gmail, Facebook, FetLife, work email, OKC, and bank accounts. He read old emails of past relationships, looked at the places I visited, and stalked images from events I go to. There was hard evidence now. I took it to the local police near work. They couldn't handle it, so I went to the county prosecutor office. Most people wouldn't think of that. It was suggested by Johnny's friends. They had a computer forensics department and could handle the case easily. I was met with an amazing detective. He took my packet of evidence and listened to the whole story. It's becoming easier to tell the story, especially when it's to focus on the facts. At my office, I learned more about Chris, how he slandered me to my coworkers. I knew I couldn't tell the people I worked with why Chris was fired, but for my safety, I knew I had to tell at least a few people, just the ones that were close to me. Once they knew the story, I heard things from them like, Chris would complain I didn't pay him enough. He lied and said he made half of what he actually did to coworkers. I even fought to get him above normal raises for 2 years. He lied and said I would withhold work from him. They usually responded to him by telling him to talk to my bosses or HR. Obviously he never did. You can't lie to HRs and directors. He spread lies around the office, coercing coworkers to take his side. When I wasn't aware there were any sides to be had. From these people, I learned more about the obsession with Chris and what he had with me. He craved to have power over me. He showed them my FetLife profile. He bragged about how compatible we are in OKC. He even spoke about being obsessed with my partner. He told me how he tried to catfish me on Reddit. I couldn't blame them though. Chris laid the groundwork and a bit of gaslighting on them. To them, I was a bad person and Chris was their friend. Chris was really good at playing the victim and never was able to take any self-responsibility. 9 months went by. I followed up with the detective often. It took a while to subpoena his devices from my company, then run forensics. In early September, I got a call from the detective. They arrested Chris. They showed up early morning at his home, where he still lived with his parents, and admitted to everything. He took the card from the GoPro and recovered the images. He got my password once while I walked away from my computer. He went through my phone when it was left at my desk. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall, the shock to his family of the type of person he actually was, him cowering while in handcuffs, face to face with what he'd done, no hiding behind a computer screen anymore. I was on vacation when this happened. I remember thinking, It's not long now till everyone at work will know. He's got a court date set. By then it's public record. I can't help if people know after that point. I didn't have to wait that long though. Later that day, coworkers started sending me a link. Hey, did you work with this guy? What a creep. The link was to the county prosecutor's PR page announcing Chris's arrest, mugshot and all. I came back to work and was able to have the truth come out. It was liberating. It took another 9 months for his final court date. I worked with the prosecutors during that time to determine how I wanted to proceed. I opted for a probation period instead of going through a trial and fighting for jail time. While Chris deserves the jail time, he wasn't worth my time or efforts, and a trial would offer him a slim chance of getting off scot-free. Also, this way, he would get some much-needed counseling. 3 years no contact with me, 3 years sexual offense counseling, 3 years of checking in with a probation officer. This way I can at least hope he will come with understanding that what he did was unacceptable, and fingers crossed, will never do it to another living being again. I knew there was no chance of rehab in jail. The hearing, I of course was nervous. I didn't want to see Chris, but I knew whatever I was feeling, he was feeling 100 times worse, 1,000 times worse. I didn't have to go, but since I would regret it if I didn't, with my fiancé Johnny at my side, I watched as he got up in front of the judge after he cried in the courtroom and agreed to the terms of his sentence. His mom glared at me the whole time, as though this was all my fault. So that's where he gets it from.